Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast. Time to hashtag everything. We talk about all the fun, crazy stories on social media. From Instagram to Facebook, Twitter to Tumblr, or probably even Friendster. Join us each week as we explore the quirky side of social media. It's the Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast.
It's simple, such a sad song. The one that we rely on to get us.
Hey! Hi guys, it's Devan, your social media news podcast host, and I'm just chilling. I'm chilling in my socks, my sweats, got my little snuggie. I'm snug. Let's talk. I'm here to keep you updated on everything social media news. So everything that's going on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. Not really Facebook, because there's not much going on Facebook ever to keep up with, besides, my family and stuff, your family. But Twitter, it's going to be a fun episode. Obama is the freaking cutest human being ever. You will always be my president. He will always be my president. So yeah, we're going to talk about Obama and his cute message that he posted the other day for his wifey. We're going to talk about a little bit of current event news. The Chinese president, something happened and his name was translated from Burmese into a vulgar word, and he was not happy about it. So we're going to talk about that, just do a little bit of housekeeping, say happy birthday to Dolly Parton, and then later we're going to go through the new album that Halsey just dropped, the Manic album, review, reception, so a little bit of a music minute. And then what the heck is going on with Eminem? Dude. So he just dropped an album called Songs to Be Murdered By. Weird enough, right? You feel me? But he put on that album, he sang something about, strapping a bomb to his back and standing outside of an Ariana Grande concert. And the people that were at the Manchester shooting are flipping out, because how disrespectful. So we'll get into that a little bit, go over some royal news, and then we're going to do a segment called Hashtagged. So there is always super crazy stuff going around Twitter as far as hashtags go. And right now, today's is stuff I did in high school, or stuff I did in high school that I don't want to remember, something like that. I looked at that hashtag and I screenshotted the funniest tweets. So I'm going to be reading that off. But for now, let's just do a little stretch, get a little snack, and jump right in to Obama. So on social media yesterday, Obama posted a picture of Michelle, and it was a series of photo booth style pictures, and he was doing the peace sign and stuff, and throwing it up, and they were doing cute kissy faces and stuff, and he said, "In every scene, you are my star." And it's so cute! Apparently she just turned 50, and gentlemen, take a note from Barack Obama. Post about your ladies. And say cute stuff like, "In every scene, you are my star," because it just melts our hearts into the ground. He will always be my president. I don't know what trash is happening right now, but he will always be my president. He had such great ideas, and I'm a progressive gal, and I'm just gonna stop. I'm not gonna talk too much about that side, but so he posted that for her 50th birthday. She's had quite the year. She released a book last year called Becoming Michelle Obama, which I purchased, actually. And it was the #1 best-selling book in the U.S., top of the charts. And they also they have a film company. Did you know that? Like, they have a film company. And they just produced, like, a movie called American Factory. It's basically about this rundown factory that was reopened by a Chinese billionaire. So, you know, big business corrupting the world. That's how it be. And they're starting a IGTV series, so like an Instagram TV series. Not exactly sure what it's about, but if it's the Obamas, I'd watch it. I freaking love them. Like, I feel like I wasn't young enough to, or I was too young, actually. I wasn't old enough to experience how great the world was under Obama. Like, I was too young. I was in the 7th grade when he was elected, I think. So I wish I could go back and relive that, but unfortunately, I'm in a wasteland right now. What else is happening? Last week, Nikki Tutorials came out as transgender. And, I mean, we're in a very accepting climate right now. Like, I think there's probably no better time, because if somebody has the guts to come out on social media and you're a jerk about it, you are the a-hole. Like, there's no arguing. It's just decency. So that's happening, or that happened. Jeffree Star is releasing new palettes for 2020. So everything that is currently in his line in stores is being discontinued. So ladies and men, go get your Jeffree Star palettes. They're probably going to be pretty discounted here in the next couple of days. And just a little bit more housekeeping, and then we'll move on. How do you feel about Instagram taking away the showing the number of likes? I feel like so much, like, I feel like not seen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it doesn't really matter. Like, nobody can see how many people like my crappy picture of my food, or like my dog or whatever. Like, my dog's not crappy. I love her. But like, I feel not as judged. And I think that's what they were getting at with removing the number of likes. It just says others now. Like, if it's 100 people, it says hundreds of others, or thousands of others, or millions of others. But it doesn't show exactly the number of likes. Only you can see it. And I think that was a move on mental wellness, I think. I like it. What do you think? I think we should employ more safeguards on social media, because our lives are just all about that. It's all about that. I was talking to my partner the other day about how so many people are determined to become the next Instagram influencer. And it's like, what you don't see is what it takes behind the pictures that they post. And it's long days, photo shoots with professional photographers, money spent on hair, clothes, makeup, and time that nobody really has to be posing for a camera to post it for thousands of strangers. And I used to follow that. Oh, I want people to look at my life and think, oh my gosh, I want to be like her. But the whole Instagram, posting pictures and making it look like you just rolled out of bed when actually you have a hair and makeup team, that's what contributes to all the mental unwellness. And if I want anybody to look at my life and think anything, I want them to think, oh, her life isn't perfect, but it's still like great and she's happy. I would much rather have an imperfect life where I'm happy rather than a life where I pose in front of the camera and I'm unhappy. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I want people to take anything away from my Instagram feed, it's like, yeah, maybe she's a hot mess, but she's a happy hot mess. And that boyfriend, ooh. All right, whenever we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Halsey's new album that she dropped. She dropped Manic, and my initial listen through, I was not impressed, but after listening a little bit longer, I'm kind of liking it. I'm digging a couple of tracks, and she has some really great guest artists. She has one of the members of BTS on one of the tracks, and she has Alanis Morissette on one of the tracks. So we'll get into that whenever we come back. Stay right here with the GSMC Social Media News Podcast.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
So I was never and have never been a huge Halsey fan, but the hype around this album that she just released was so big, and she is, even though she's not my cup of tea, she's really prolific on the radio. Like, she's all over the radio. She's, I guess, that kind of mold that fits the top 40. And I'm not hating on her music. It's just not exactly what I would listen to. It sounds generic to me, but I remember whenever I was younger and in high school and early college, and I would listen to that kind of music. You know, I'd listen to that bubblegum top 40 pop. So it's not exactly what I like, but people are saying the album is amazing. So I sat down and I listened through it. This is my music minute, by the way. This is the music part of the segment. I'm not going to bore you. I would move to the music podcast. I'll think about it. But this is my music minute. I'm going to dedicate a segment to music. So I listened through the album, and the tracks that we already got, like the ones that were on the radio, like Graveyard or Without Me, or there was one more. No, that was it. It was Without Me, and it was Graveyard, and those were the ones that were played a lot. So those, everybody knows, they fit the top 40, kind of bubblegum. They didn't stand out to me. I don't know if it's because whenever you listen to the radio, they tend to play the same songs over and over and over, but those were skips for me. Don't really like them. So starting off the album, she starts with Ashley, which is her first name, her actual name. Good. She has nice beat, nice tone, nice kind of electronic sound. Very electronic alternative, but not rocky. It's more pop, like alternative pop sound. Doesn't stand out too much to me, but the next song, Clementine, it took me a couple of listens because she's randomly, abstractly screaming in the song. Not screaming, but like one of the tracks is she's like saying like, I don't need anyone, but she's like saying like, I don't need anyone. And it was kind of weird to me at first, but now I kind of like it. It's a vibe, and people speculate that this song was inspired by Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and now I see that, and through the whole album, she makes references to movies. So in Killing Boys, she uses like an audio clip from Jennifer's Body with Nene and Jennifer, and who's played by Megan Fox. And so it's just a real culty kind of throwback to that manic, edgy time, like in the early 2000s, probably in her, come up. But I liked Clementine. Fans speculate that it was based on Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Halsey is a good writer. I like the way she writes. So some of the lyrics that stand out, she says, I'd like to tell you that my sky's not blue, it's violent rain. And then another lyric, she says, in her world, I'm constantly having a breakthrough, a breakdown, or a blackout, which probably contributes to the manic title. The album is just really raw with what she's been through, going from you know, the things that she's been through an assault, and she's been through, you know, a myriad of relationships that have left her beaten and broken. And whenever I listen to her, I hear codependency, like screaming super loud. So that's Clementine. And she kind of talks throughout this song about how she doesn't need anyone, although her actions don't really, it doesn't seem that way from her actions. And how she just kind of self-realization is hard for her. But hindsight is 20/20. So I like this song. It grew on me. We have Graveyard, which everyone has heard on the radio. And then You Should Be Sad. And people were praising the song, but I really don't understand it. So in the song, the line that sticks out, like the chorus is like, I'm so glad I never ever had a baby with you. And that's weird to me. It was off kilter for me. It wasn't my favorite. It seemed like a parody song to me. And then we have Forever is a Long Time, Dominic's interlude with Dominic Fike. And then the next highlight, I Hate Everybody, which was kind of a break from the traditional bubblegum pop. And, well, the traditional kind of atmospheric alternative pop. And then it changed to like a bubblegum pop feel almost. So I liked I Hate Everybody. She says in the lyrics, I hate everybody and anybody. And this is the part that kind of screamed like codependent to me, because in the chorus she says, in the verse she laments about her empathy and being her own worst enemy, falling in love with strangers, and standing in her own way. And then being hurt eventually. In the chorus she says, I'll just hate anybody. And if I do, why can't I just go home without someone? So she's saying, you know, even though she has all of this self-hatred that's turned to other people, she can't help herself but to keep trying to find and fulfill herself through other people. So I don't know if this is her realizing that she's destructive, but I liked this song. It's kind of darker lyrics in a tone of, you know, an upbeat song. And then everything else is kind of, you know, 3 a.m.'s fine. Without Me, we already know. Finally, Beautiful Strangers, really pretty and acoustic. I liked that one. That's a highlight for me. Atlantis' interlude features Alanis Morissette, and it's kind of like a queer anthem. Like she says, you know, it's all talking about girls. Halsey is, I believe, bisexual. I'm not sure if it's pan or if it's bisexual. I'm not sure. And then Killing Boys has that clip from Jennifer's Body. Then we go through the last half, and it's Sugar's interlude, and that's Sugar from BTS. So, and that's fine. He sings in Korean, and the locals were praising, you know, even though it is a language we don't understand, he's getting a lot of hype on this track, and people are loving it, and Halsey's loving that. Even though we don't understand it, you know, we can still appreciate the art. And then we have more, Still Learning, and 9/29, which 9/29 she's saying she was born on 9/29 at 9/29, and later we actually find out that she wasn't born on 9/29. Pretty meaningless in like the majority of things, but the album flows really well. I like this new thing people are doing where their albums are like, it's not just songs that don't flow together. It's like throughout, it's like a work of art. There's interludes, there's outros, there's features and stuff. And I really like that because it's like the same thing with The National, who released a new album, Easy to Find, a couple of months ago. It's like a work of art through. It's like a show. And I love that. Like, I can really appreciate that. But basically, this album, she named it Manic, and I question that. It's like, I don't know if she has been diagnosed with anything. I don't follow Halsey that closely. But you can definitely see, you know, her destructive patterns, and she kind of just lays it all out there in this album. And, I mean, although it's not my cup of tea, there are a couple of songs I like, and a couple of songs I'll probably put on my playlist. but you've got to applaud, the honesty and art for what it is. So that's Halsey's album Manic. People are loving it, of course. If that's your kind of music, check it out. And that's really all I got for that. So whenever we come back, I'm going to be talking about Eminem and whatever the heck is going on there. He just dropped a new album. I'm not going to review it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. But in social media, apparently, there is a backlash happening with Eminem right now because of some of the lyrics from his new album, kind of trivializing what happened at Ariana Grande's concert. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. Stay right here with the GSMC Social Media Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
I listened to Eminem at way too young of an age, I think. I listened to him when I was like 7 and 8 years old. But he just released his 11th album, and it is offensive, to some people. I personally don't. If he's not dissing me and my mama or my daddy, then I don't care. But Eminem just came out with a new album called Music to Be Murdered By. 20 tracks, interludes, outerludes, tons of guest artists. So right off the bat, Young M.A., Royce da 5'9", White Gold, Ed Sheeran, Juice WRLD, Skylar Grey, Black Thought, Q-Tip, Anderson .Paak. Some really great collaborations. It's like filled with collaborations, and the album was relatively unannounced. So Kamikaze came out 2 years ago, and since then, there wasn't a huge build up to this album. He kind of Eminem released this on the 17th, just kind of out of nowhere. But so I'm not going to do an album review necessarily, but we're going to talk about one of the tracks. So on his second track, Unaccommodating, featuring Young M.A., he says he has a specific lyric and in reference to the Manchester Arena bombing, and people are not happy, specifically Ariana Grande's fans. So on the track, the lyrics are, "I'm contemplating yelling bombs away on the game like I'm outside an Ariana Grande concert." And although throughout the whole entire CD, he makes reference CD, like I'm in the 90s. Throughout the whole entire album, he makes references to, he's advocating for gun control. So it's not like he meant to do this on purpose. Like in one of his songs, he talks about being lonely and how it leads to, shootings. It's a big gun violence campaign in itself. It's called Darkness, and he basically, in the music video or the promo, it's him, he's sitting alone, and he raps about how whenever you're left alone, like the thoughts in your head can get to you, and you do bad things, and it ends with him, shooting people, and it's just a big, it seems bad, but afterwards, an anti-violence gun campaign like comes across the screen. So he didn't do this to hurt anyone. It's just Eminem being Eminem. And all of Ariana Grande's fans are saying, oh, he used, a terrorist attack that killed 22 people. And although, yeah, it's insensitive, it's Eminem. Like, he's been this way for 10 years and he's not going to change anytime soon. If it's not, if it's not directly, I can see why those people would be upset. They feel like he's making light out of what happened. And I don't think that he was intentionally trying to victimize anybody by using the lyrics. I think that's just, he does what he wants, he says what he wants, and, of course, people are going to be upset with whatever he does or says, and at the end of the day, if I was there and I lost somebody to the bombing, I would probably be pretty upset because that's a life you can't get back, but I wasn't there. It doesn't affect me. I can't really speak on behalf of the people who would affected. So I can't say I'm in their shoes. I can't say they don't have a right to be upset. Now, if he was rapping about something I did experience, or something I felt really strongly about or had a big tie to, like if he was rapping about assaulting women or hitting women, and making light of it, I would probably be pretty upset. I would not stand. I don't support Chris Brown at all, or anybody XXXTentacion, or anybody who, has had a violent past and is successful because they write about the things that they've done, or, bounce back from that stuff and find success. Like, I don't support, and I don't understand why Chris Brown is still relevant today. But as far as Eminem goes, he's been the same person since the early 2000s. He's not going to change. I'm sure, he's not campaigning or trying to make light out of it for gain or to hurt anybody. It's just, that's what came out of his mouth. He's also, campaigning for gun control. So what can you really be mad at him for? In the end, everyone's going to be mad about something, and you just have to pick and choose what you spend your energy on. That's all I really got on that. It doesn't affect me too much, and I feel bad for saying that, but I feel like somebody can get upset about anything. Like, you can find something to get upset about in anything or everything. And I don't want to be insensitive, but you have to weigh the pros and cons. And obviously, if you listen to the album, he's not advocating for that stuff. So that's really all I got on that. So apparently, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have decided to completely remove themselves from the royal family, like cut ties, cut funding, all that stuff, which I think is a pretty interesting move. So we're going to get into that whenever we come back. So stay right here with us. See you on the flip side, chap lip. I'll be right back.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
So Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have quit their royal jobs and given up their highness titles. They will not be funded anymore. They won't be given any funding for charity work. They won't be working members of the royal family. And this is all taking place in spring of 2020. That's effective, spring 2020. So they're going to step aside out of the public eye, apparently. Why? Who would want to be not a prince or princess? But they're going to be Duke and Duchess, and almost normal civilians. I mean, at that point, it's like you reap all of the, well, I don't see the point, actually, because they're already famous. They're already in the public eye, and they're going to keep being in the public eye, because once you're famous, you don't just go unfamous, especially if you're a part of the royal family. And at least if you're in the royal family, you have that protection, you know? It's like you're still gonna be hounded by photographers all the time. And I think that's why they did it, because Meghan is biracial, and Harry and Meghan have, been in the press ever since their son Archie was born, and people were giving her crap for being biracial, and she even sued like a newspaper company. So if that was anything to do with it, that stuff's still going to be there whenever you leave the royal family. And if anything, you're not going to have the protection that you had over it. It really, honestly, it makes me wonder if something happened in their family. Because if you think about it, why Kate Middleton is the exact opposite of this. Like, she was a relatively unknown body. Although she did go to, an Ivy League school, and that's where she met Prince William. I bet you would have to pry the title out of her cold, dead hands. They are going to remain as Duke and Duchess. They're not going to be addressed as Highness. So, and Harry's still going to be in line for the throne. So it feels like they might change their minds. They'll retain the titles, but they're not going to use them. So maybe they'll return, in the future. But right now they'll be known as Harry, Duke of Sussex, and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. And he's going to keep his spot in line to the throne. And I mean, I guess it's a good deal to me. But what are you having? I wonder if they have to keep them under very strict, lock and key, because it is the royal family. Diana was stripped of her title after she and Prince Charles divorced. So he's honestly following right in her footsteps, and I think she would be very proud of him. So they have to, not only do they not get, funds, but they have to repay £2.4 million in taxpayer money, because in Frogmore Cottage, where they lived in Windsor Castle, they spent government money renovating their house and to transform 5 separate apartments into a single family home. And they've been doing this for quite some time. It was a long time coming. They didn't announce Archie's birth like everybody else, like the normal royal way. They split themselves off from the house, and now they're finally, stepping down. So I could see it coming. It was in talks for a while among the family that they announced they wanted to step down and live part-time in Canada. But from what I understand, Queen Elizabeth had an adverse opinion. She wanted them to remain full-time, but she was happy that, they found a constructive and supportive way to live, because they weren't happy with where they were, being in the public eye, and they wished for a kind of a more independent life. But what I don't understand is you might as well stick with it now, because you're never going to have a normal life. You're just not. Like, once you're in the public eye like that, your life changes forever. You can start fresh, or you can move, but wherever you go, there you are. Like, your life is going to follow you. Especially Meghan Markle being on Suits. She was already in the public eye. Like, if you didn't want this life, why did you... You know what I'm saying? Like, if you didn't want this kind of life, then why did you step into it? I mean, that's my opinion. I don't understand all of this, like, trying to duck out now. So although they're not a part of the family, they have to traditionally uphold the values of Her Majesty. So they're still going to be carrying out, charitable work in private, even though they're withdrawn from royal engagements. But this is going to affect Prince William differently, because William and Kate and their kids are going to have to, like, increase their presence and everything. And Meghan and Harry, they're going to need, like, security, and it doesn't really make sense to me. But whatever you do with your life, that's your thing. I would personally stay under the title. They're planning to relocate to Vancouver Island. They've been known to spend long breaks there, or to Toronto, where Meghan originally filmed Suits. Obviously, they're going to have to immigrate, and their tax status, whether it's in Canada or not, they're going to have to obtain plans to, like, get British nationality. So, interesting story there. Different. It's just night and day from Kate. And I find that interesting. I wonder if they get along at all. Kate came from nothing, and Meghan was on Suits and obviously, if she went into entertainment, wanted to be in the public eye, or at least knew there was a possibility she would be in the public eye, and now she's trying to shut it all down. It just makes me think like something else is going on. Like, there was a scandal that William cheated on Kate. All sorts of stuff goes on. I call there's something going on, but that's just me, and that's really all. When we come back, I'm going to finish up by talking a little bit about the country queen, Dolly Parton. Today is her birthday, as well as a few other people, and I'll mention them in passing, but I'm mostly going to talk about Dolly. I'm talking about Dumpling too, because a movie came out last year, or maybe it was the year prior. It seems like the years are just running together. And it was the soundtrack of Dolly Parton's music, but the story was, about a plus-size pageant queen. Loved the movie endlessly. I've always loved Dolly Parton. My grandma listened to her all of the time, and so I learned the songs, and hopefully I can, pay my own tribute. My uncle and I occasionally get together and sing and play with his band and stuff, and I brought up, what about a Dolly song? So hopefully soon I'll get to sing some Dolly songs, but I'm going to get into that whenever we come back. Stay here with us on the GSMC Social Media News Podcast.
Always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. Jordan and Keith is Entertainment Tonight meets Access Hollywood.
I'm Jordan. The guy laughing, that's Keith.
Yeah, I'm Keith.
An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
So the Queen of Country turned 74 today. Dolly Parton's birthday is today. And I remember going over to my grandma's all the time, and she had all of these Dolly Parton biographies stacked up on our shelves. And I really didn't get to appreciating Dolly Parton until a couple of years back. And she's 74. Like, she grew up, so a little bit of background about Dolly Parton. She was one of 12 children, and she grew up super poor. She had to sleep 3 or 4 to a bed, and so it was so cold that she said having her brothers or sisters pee on her was like a relief. but she'd have to wash before she went to bed. And then someone would pee on her, and then she'd have to wash again. So she came from nothing, and now she has everything, and she's still a great person. But I actually didn't start loving her music until I was like in my early 20s. And it had always been around, because doing theater, you have Steel Magnolias, which if you do any research at all, of course you're going to watch the film. And then 9 to 5, also the musical, which was made famous by Dolly Parton and her song 9 to 5. So around, what I did, I would run into her, sing her songs, but I never really listened to her discography. Discography? Is that a word? Discography? I never listened to all of her tracks until she came out with a movie that she helped produce a couple of years ago. I think it was maybe late 2018 or early 2019. I'm not exactly sure. But there was a movie called Dumplin' that came out on Netflix a year or so ago. And it was set to Dolly Parton's soundtrack, all Dolly Parton songs, and it featured the girl from Patty Cake, so the drama, and this girl's Danielle McDonald. She's the main role. She was also in Bird Box as Olympia. So Danielle McDonald plays Willow Dean Dixon. She's relatively unknown, but from Australia. Born in Sydney, and whenever she was 18, she moved to Hollywood to pursue her career. But in the movie, Danielle is a plus-size actress. She plays Willow Dean. Her mom is a pageant coach, played by Jennifer Aniston, in her small town. And after her aunt's passing, she finds a entry to the local beauty pageant, which is a huge deal in her town, and she follows in her aunt's footsteps and understands, her aunt wanted to change the game for girls who weren't, stick thin or weren't perfect and pretty, and it starts as like a rebellious thing. Like, she enters it, her mom's the coach, she enters it to rebel, but eventually it turns into, an empowerment story, and it's all set to Dolly Parton music, and it's a great movie. I think it's feel good, and it talks a lot about, self-worth and empowerment. And Willow Dean in the movie, she struggles with body image and self-worth due to her upbringing and being closer to her mother being closer to her aunt than to her mother. And her aunt was plus size, always kind of told her, be who you are, and if they can't handle you, they don't deserve you, and never really got along with her mom. And throughout the story, it is set to Dolly Parton's music, but there's also, a story about, there's a drag plot line. So Willow Dean goes to a bar and sneaks in because she knows the people at the bar know her aunt. And so there's an LGBTQ plot line, and it's just really great and progressive kind of little film that came out of nowhere, it seems like. And so whenever that movie came out, I listened to the soundtrack, fell in love with the movie, and added a whole bunch of Dolly songs on my playlist. And, songs that I'd heard before and songs that I listened to more closely and fell in love with. And now I kind of want to sing them, and my uncle plays in a band. I asked him to add a couple of Dolly songs to the playlist. So the movie's called Dumplin', and Dolly is a legend, being, founding Dolly World and creating the literacy program and, everything that she's done. She's brought herself up from literally ashes, and she's a legend in her own right. But happy birthday, Dolly. A couple of other people's birthdays today. Jodie Sweetin's birthday's today as well. So Jodie Sweetin played Stephanie Tanner in Full House. Struggled as a child star, and not a lot of people know this, but she struggled with, I believe it was heroin. It was either cocaine or heroin, and drinking. But today's her birthday, and she eventually got clean to do the Fuller House revamp. Always my favorite character. Stephanie was my favorite character because I was a middle child for a little bit as well. Michael Crawford turned 78 today. Singer Michael Crawford. Fun fact, he was nominated for an Emmy in 1998. And Paul Rodriguez, comedian, turned 65. His first television appearance was on the show Gloria. And Shawn Wayans of the Wayans Brothers turns 49 today. So these are all January 19th birthdays. As well as Shawn Johnson, 28. The Olympic gold medalist, Shawn Johnson. So that's all I got for... Janis Joplin and Edgar Allan Poe. That's why he was trending today. I was wondering why. I went on Twitter and I saw that Edgar Allan Poe was trending, and I was like, what the heck? He surely couldn't have come back to life, but it's also Edgar Allan Poe. So that's a handful of pretty good people. Janis Joplin. I would love to share a birthday with Janis Joplin. I love Janis Joplin. I cannot hit her notes, though. I like to sing in my free time, so that's what I'm talking about. Singing with my uncle and stuff. All right, that's all I got for you guys. I'm going to carry on to my next segment when we come back and then wrap it up. So stay right here with the GSMC Social Media News Podcast.
The GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Alright, we're back and we're here for our last segment. So today's trending Twitter topic, this is my Twitter moment segment. I don't really go on Twitter a lot, not until I started doing podcasts. I went on Twitter a lot in high school, but I got in trouble a lot for going on Twitter because I would just tweet whatever came to my mind. Like, I have hasty fingers. But I like keeping up with it, especially whenever shows come on, because people will like live tweet memes and stuff, and I feel like it's really funny. And I was perusing Twitter today, and I saw that Edgar Allan Poe was trending, and I was like, what the heck? Is he alive? Like, did he come back from the dead? Is it his birthday? Why Edgar Allan Poe? It's all so random. But it was his birthday, in fact. It's also Dolly Parton's birthday, but she didn't get any tweets. So, but this is what's trending today. I was reading some of these, and I thought they were so funny. So I decided to, make a segment out of it. Random things trend all of the time, and I don't understand it, but it's funny. So, without further ado, this is hashtag dumb things I did in high school, and these are the funniest tweets I could find. I screenshotted about 9 of them, and I'm going to read them to you. So, hashtag dumb things I did in high school. This is from Todd Volts at Volkswagen. Billy Ray Cyrus was always a guest at the high school I went to because he graduated there. I got suspended senior year for bouncing an orange off his head. And gave him an achy breaky head. That was a comment. Okay, dumb things I did in high school. We had a pickle eating contest in the quad, and I won. I also ended up in the ER getting my stomach pumped. Good Lord. Pickles intensifies. Dumb things I did in high school. Broke up with my girlfriend by putting a note in her locker on a Friday so I could go out with another girl on a Saturday. On Monday morning, I retrieved the note from her locker. She never knew. And then they left a gift. Oh my goodness. They left a GIF from Friends, and it's Ross saying, "We were on a break." All right. Dumb things I did in high school. Hit it off with a boy in a chat room. Found out he went to my school, and we both skipped the next day. He played sick. I went to his place, and we made out all morning until his mom came home and to check on him, and I had to hide in the closet. Dumb things I did in high school. That's not that funny. All right. A friend and I got the munchies, but we're too young to drive anywhere and too silly to walk anywhere, so I convinced him we should stay on his bathroom floor and eat the whole bottle of Tums from the medicine cabinet. Dumb things I did in high school. I thought these were funnier when I was screenshotting them. The first one's funny. All right. Dumb things I did in high school. Intentionally hit a bump in the road at over 100 miles per hour. All four wheels left the ground. I'm still looking for my stomach. I feel like it'd be funny if I read these live, but I thought they were funny, so I wanted to share them. All right. Two more. Dumb things I did in high school. Changed all the slides to my government teacher's PowerPoint for an all-school assembly to taxation is theft. Oh my goodness. Dumb things I did in high school. Wore an old pair of jeans that were way too tight and tore a hole right by my butt. Had to wear my jacket wrapped around my waist for the rest of the day. True story, this happened to me when I was in the second grade. Apparently I was a thick second grader because I sat down and I ripped my jeans, and I'll never forget it. Anyways, that's all I have for you. Sorry if that was a very anticlimactic ending. Maybe I'll do a Twitter moment live next time, because I feel like when you laugh, things are funnier. Like, whenever you're giggling, other people are going to giggle. It's contagious. But that's all I got. Thanks for listening, guys. As always, I'm your host, Devan Harris. Give us a like or a follow on one of our social medias. We're at GSMC Social Media News Podcast on Twitter. And I tweet all the time and retweet and post memes and, goof off. And we also have a Facebook, so leave us a review on there. Tune in with us. I post on Wednesdays and Sundays. Let me know what you want me to cover. Let me know what you thought was crazy. What did you think about Halsey and Eminem's albums? Let me know. As always, stay cool, stay cute, stay comfy, and I will see you guys next week.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Social Media Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.